What's up, y'all? It's Ty. In this video today, we're going to be going over the power forward tier list in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM. Now, so far, if you go back, watch a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, go do that and then come back to this video. I basically only included cards at one specific position. But I feel like with the power forward and center position, it gets dicey, you know? So I had to include cards like a Kermit Washington, like a guy like Paolo Banchero, because I personally run them at the power forward position. So it gets a little dicey, but and I feel like if I wouldn't in this video, we'd have like 2 power forwards to go over and rank, and I didn't want to do that. So just kind of fair warning, we're gonna have more power forwards to rank, but hopefully you guys do enjoy the video. As we do dive into our first Josh Smith, please smash that subscribe button, hit the noti bell, all those things. Really do appreciate your support. Josh Smith. I have mixed feelings about Josh Smith. Because on one side of it, defense, right? That's where I prioritize everything. If a card's good at defense, I'm going to like the card. The problem with Josh Smith is his release is horrible, guys. His release is horrible. I don't hate the card. I think B tier is probably the right spot, but I'm telling you, his release is really not great in the game. So if you're one that, you know, you're like, I like Josh Smith, but I'm looking for elsewhere, well, this is the video for you guys. Josh Smith is really solid. Shareef Abdur-Rahim. When I'm looking at the power forwards, I like him, but the base version of the card probably is D tier. If you have a fully badged up Shareef, though, he gets a lot better because he can get to 27 gold badges, and that is a massive amount of gold badges for a card. Problem is, he doesn't come with that base. I'm going to go D tier for Shareef. Tony Kukoc, I'm going to go B tier as well. Polar kind of opposite of Josh Smith. Kukoc is going to have a good release. You're going to be able to knock down shots with him. Defensively, not going to be nearly as good. Now, I know Kukoc is 6'10". People are going to hype him up for that, which it does matter. But I feel like Kukoc always in my team, always in 2K, his player build leaves something to be desired. So just kind of those two are preference-based. I do think both cards are B tier. Shawn Kemp card I really don't like, D tier. Even when Shawn Kemp came out, there really wasn't a whole ton about the card that impressed me. You know, like from his release to the stats to the badges, like Shawn Kemp just looked really mediocre, and I'm still thinking that to this day. MPJ, kind of similar to Kukoc. I mean, a lot of people want to hype up Kukoc when I think MPJ is so similar to the card. Thing for MPJ is this: he's going to shoot the ball incredibly well. It's just defensively, like, he's not going to be great. I don't want to sit here and call him horrible defensively because I don't think, you know, I don't think it's that extreme. The card is not great. Kiki at the power forward position, yikes. D tier. I mean, from his lack of defense to a lot of things, he's probably better still than Shawn Kemp, which is crazy how low I am on Shawn Kemp, but I just really dislike Shawn Kemp on this game, but I still think Kiki is probably D tier. Like, these are the best power forwards in the entire game. I'm not going to hype up Kiki Vanderway. Draymond Green, I'm going to go B tier. When you compare him to Josh Smith's taller. Josh Smith defensively probably is slightly better. Draymond's release, as not good as it is better than Josh Smith. So I'm going to put Draymond at B tier. I still think Draymond's a guy that can go out there, compete for you guys. He's going to play a lot of defense, is deserving of B tier. However, I'm not saying, you know, that he's, you know, going to be, you know, an A tier power forward. He's fine, but not great. Chuck Person, C tier probably. Better at the small forward position, in my opinion. Lamar Odom is going to go A tier. I like Lamar Odom, but I want you guys to know and realize, like, I'm not going to sit up here and say, like, Lamar Odom's the best small forward, power forward in the game. He's fine, but I think even a guy, let's say, like Paolo Banchero is better side by side than Lamar Odom. That's my opinion on things. Lamar Odom's good, but I don't think he's great in the game. Kuzma, when he came out, was so hyped up. He's just not great. To me, he's a worse MPJ. He's going to shoot the ball fine, but his defense isn't great. I think the overall card is fine, but not great. I'm going to go C tier with Kyle Kuzma. You guys don't necessarily, again, have to agree, but that's where I'm at with Kuz. I know a lot of people were hyped up about Kuz, but I think it's because of what Kuz was in the past. Yes, Kuz in the past had the best release in the game. He was really good in the past. This year, it's not the same. Kuz does not have that same caliber release. C tier. Jaren Jackson Jr., S tier. He'll probably be on my center tier list as well, but I do think he's S tier. In my opinion, he's got 12 base badges. Hall of Fame badges. You're looking at a card with 12 base Hall of Famers that can shoot the ball well, that plays extremely good defense. Jaren is not going anywhere for my squad. He's one of the main reasons I've won 2 King of the Court so far this year. Jaren Jackson Jr. is that man in this game. Definitely a card to look at hyping up. The card is an absolute beast. Chris Bosh up next. He's going to go A tier. Not as good as Jaren Jackson Jr., but he is a good card. Chris Bosh has a good release. Going to be able to stretch the floor well. But again, he's only got 4 Hall of Fame badges. Jaren has 12. Make sense why Jaren's a diamond and Chris Bosh is a pink diamond. Because to me, it makes absolutely no sense when I'm looking at the 2 cards. Giannis Antetokounmpo, S tier. Thing about Giannis is he's better than Jaren. Why? Let's talk about it. The big thing for me with Giannis is his ability to play make, right? He can get to the rim, dunk the ball. He can handle the ball a lot better than Jaren. One thing Jaren's going to do better than Giannis is shoot the ball. Giannis doesn't have the best release, although it's easy to time, easy to green. Giannis has a pretty low 3 ball. And so it really depends who you like more between Jaren and Giannis. Both cards are S tier. AK at the power forward position. Am I wrong to put him at B tier? Think he's better at small forward to me. Like, is he better than Josh Smith? Probably. But I just think the best position for AK is a small forward position. He's a pure lock in this game. Think he's better at small forward than power forward. To me, B tier. You could argue A tier, and he might get moved up to A tier. But for me right now, B tier is where he belongs. Kevin Garnett, S tier. He's going to play really good defense, the same tier as Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is going to make plays better than KG. Giannis is better than KG. However, because of how good KG is going to be on the defensive side of the ball, you've got to put him at S tier. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about the situation. Kenyon Martin, upper part of B tier. I think the problem I have with Kenyon Martin is his release. And I've used the card, I've played with the card, but I just think that release leaves a lot to be desired. That and the fact like the base card doesn't come with on-ball menace, that's a badge you have to apply to. Kenyon Martin are a couple of reasons I can't be higher on the card. Keith Van Horn up next, and I'm not hating on Keith Van Horn, but at the end of the day, it's tough to put him at Lamar Odom, Chris Bosh tier. I like Keith Van Horn. I like him more at the power forward position than the center position, but I think B tier ultimately is where the card does belong. Is going to knock down shots. Thing about Keith Van Horn is this. I wish badge-wise he was just slightly better. And when I say that, he's not horrible badge-wise, but there are a certain amount of badges like he doesn't get because I think he only comes with, 16 maybe base badges. So it only leaves him room to get 20, 21 base badges, which to me is not perfect, right? There's other cards that I think, are just going to be slightly better than Keith Van Horn because of those couple of things. Derek Coleman, release-wise, isn't great. He's another B tier type of card. And I don't want to just put a bunch of people at B tier. It seems like what I'm doing right now. But I think all these cards are B tier. Derek Coleman defensively is lights out good. His release just leaves a little bit to be desired. Zion Williamson up next. I'm going to go C tier. And I don't like to, but I feel like the card doesn't give you a whole lot on defense. He's 6'6". Give me Draymond Green over Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is just going to be way overpriced, and honestly, I don't think he gives you a whole ton on the court. You guys can like Zion, and if that's the case, awesome for you guys. I'm not going to be high on a 6'6" power forward that is not good defensively. I'm just not. Julius Randle up next. C tier probably. I don't hate Julius Randle, though, and that's the thing. Like, he was free the other day. I think side by side, he's probably better than Zion Williamson. I'm actually going to move Randle up to B tier. I don't love Randle, honestly. I don't even like putting him at B tier because you guys got to realize that's where Keith Van Horn is, and Keith Van Horn walks circles around Julius Randle. I'm actually going to move some cards up. Keith Van Horn is going up. I mean, I think I've got to. I like Keith Van Horn more than a lot of these guys at B tier. I think that's pretty accurate. Marcus Stoudemire, C tier. He is going to dunk the ball well. I just think he lacks a little bit defensively. He's not perfect. Offensively, he's fine. He's just not necessarily ideal in my opinion. Gonna go C tier for Amari Stoudemire. Al Harrington, another guy I really like, A tier. The majority of the reason I like Al Harrington is this. You can throw him out there on the court. He's going to defend well. He's got a great release. He's going to knock down shots. And you don't have to do a bunch to him. He comes with a ton of badges. I really like Al Harrington. When the card first came out, I was like, card's pretty mid, pretty mediocre. But as times went on, I'm like, man, this Al Harrington card is good. And every time I play against him, I don't want to say he gives me problems, but the card is very solid on the floor. Willis Reed S tier, and I'm not going to hesitate with it. Willis Reed, one of your more complete options on this entire list. Where do you want to start with Willis Reed? Do you want to start with his release, which is one of the best in the game? Do you want to start with his defense, which is fantastic? I honestly think Willis Reed is just as good at power forward and center. The card is extremely valuable on this game right now. Paolo Banchero, another S tier caliber card. And I know you guys are like, Ty, these guys aren't pink diamonds. How are they S tier? Look at their stats. Paolo Banchero walks circles around Lamar Odom. Willis Reed walks circles around Chris Bosh. I do not care whether a card's a diamond or a pink diamond. You gotta respect a good card. Paolo Banchero is exactly that. This Cliff Robinson at this stage is not good. D tier probably. I used this Cliff Robinson early on in the game and he was fine. But as time goes on, he's becoming less and less valuable. I'm not hating on him. That's just simply the truth behind the card. Jerome Kersey up next. Problem with Jerome Kersey is that release. I'm going to go D tier as well. I'd prefer Sharif to Jerome Kersey at this stage. Kind of crazy to say, but that's the truth. Kermit Washington. The problem with Kermit Washington is this, the 55 3-ball. Because he is so good defensively, I've got to throw him at C tier, but you better be able to green consistently or decently consistently with Kermit Washington if you do want to run the card. Otherwise, people are just going to leave you wide open on the court. Sidney Wicks, pretty similar to Kermit Washington, just a low 3-ball. And that's kind of the problem I have with Sidney Wicks. Obviously, if you green consistently with the card, he does a lot of good things for you because defensively, he's fantastic. But again, are you going to green consistently with the card? I don't know. That's why he's got to go at C tier. Pascal Siakam. Now, here's the difficult part for me. I think every card I have at S tier is better than Pascal Siakam. However, I think Pascal Siakam does enough to go to S tier. And I hope that makes sense. I prefer Paolo. I prefer Willis Reed, KG, Jaren over Pascal Siakam. I do. But at the end of the day, I think Siakam is more deserving of S tier than A tier. I do, because he's badge-wise incredible. Defensively, the card's fantastic. And so I don't necessarily want to put him at S tier, but he is deserving of that. Carlos Boozer, at this stage, D tier. He's got a good release, but that's about it. And I got to move somebody down. And so I'm going to move Cliff Robinson down because defensively, he just isn't as good. And offensively, he's not great. Karl Malone, S tier. Right there with Pascal Siakam. I actually like Karl Malone. Like, if I were to rank S tier right now, and I don't know exactly, it'd be something like, Paolo would have to be higher. Something like this, maybe, is how I'd rank S tier. It's kind of tough to do, but something along those types of lines. Obi Toppin, F tier 2. And Obi Toppin's usable. I don't want to hate on Obi Toppin, but every time I play Obi Toppin, he just doesn't do a whole lot for my opponent. And maybe it's because the super casuals are the ones using Obi Toppin. I just think the card's mid. James Worthy, D tier. He's just not great. Eduardo DeJero, D tier. Although he's fine for an amethyst, at the end of the day, he is an amethyst on this game. And D tier is as high as I can go with the card. There was one guy from B tier I'd move up. I don't even know who it would be, honestly. Like, I think B tier is all really solid cards. Like, anybody, honestly, B tier or higher are cards I'd use. Anybody C tier or lower are cards I'd probably steer away from. Unless you got, like, the free Julius Randle. He would be a card that I'm like, you know what, he's okay to run. But outside of that, like, C tier, I'm just not the biggest fan of. So hopefully this tier list makes sense. Hopefully at the end of the day, it helps you guys out. It's my main reason for making this video. Purvis Ellison didn't make this list. I don't know why I didn't include him, but he'd probably be a D tier or C tier. Honestly, Purvis Ellison probably would be in here at C tier. So just realize that, know that by watching this video. I always will love you, Purvis Ellison. Just throw that deep down. I have a special place in my heart for that card. But that's going to wrap it up for our video, guys. Drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.